I do see a problem that you can't live a life based on delusion. You can't hold out reality all the time and just exist in a fake world. You've got to constantly not only be challenging your own beliefs, but be willing to say that you had been wrong and misinformed and for your whole life and change your views. Otherwise, you know, it's a mindless existence.
And that's not to say they don't have the right to believe. I believe everyone has the right to believe anything. They have the right to believe anything. But I have the right to find that belief ridiculous. I've had people on Twitter say things like, everyone has the right to their own opinion, so just keep quiet about your atheism. Brilliant. There it is. There, you summed it up for me. Well done.
I did a courtroom scene on a show, and I look at the judge, and right above his head it says, "In God We Trust." I mean, this should have hit me before being on The Good Wife, but I just can't believe it. I just can't believe that's above that in 2012, that's in our court system. These notions aren't shared by everyone in America.
With religion, the stories have been told over centuries, and science is always telling a new story. And I think that that's what's hard for people who hold religion as the truth, to understand that science is something that's broader. It doesn't start 6,000 years ago. It starts 4 or 5 billion years ago. And that is there's a lot more information in there in the book. If we had a book, it'd be a lot thicker.
And of course, we have seen backlash against scientific understanding of reality. We have seen it in many religions, not only in the United States. So I believe there's a great value in promoting this kind of work.
People who like science are all drawn to it for the same reason. It explains the physical world. What is this stuff? Is it the last word on what reality is and what the physical world is? I don't know, but if it's not the last word, it's at least the best word.
In our increasingly complex scientific and technological civilization, many policy issues require scientific knowledge. How then can the public exercise democratic control if it doesn't understand science?
I think it's very important to advance the pro-science view in the modern world. What could be bad about advancing knowledge and enlightenment? It can only be a good thing.
If you don't get that there is some objective place from which we can all start, which we call science, a place where we get rid of our biases and get back to what we can observe, if you don't think that's the best place to start these conversations from, then where do you start them from? You have to start from, well, my evidence shows that gay people are just like me and they love each other, or that women are smart. The magic book kills discussion.
You know, I went to Israel for the first time the summer before last, but people always say, oh, you go to Israel, you're going to be changed forever. Like, you're going to feel so connected. And I didn't feel that at all. I went, it just was so, when I saw the Western Wall especially, and that this much room is for the men and this much room is for the women, and they said, cover your shins and cover this up or people will throw rocks at you, you know, and it's just like, I just felt like, f you. All I felt was f you. I didn't feel connected to anything because it wasn't including me as an equal.
It's the rules, it's the arbitrary rules. He gave you free will. Well then, why is he sending me to hell for using it? He moves in mysterious ways. I mean, moves in mysterious ways. That is the philosophical equivalent of going, nah, running away. I don't, you know, it's strange, moves in mysterious ways. What's the difference between a random God and no God at all? That's what I'd say.
I think people don't really believe the myths they invent. I've been to many funerals in which the priest has spoken of an afterlife, and even the people who are there are sobbing profusely. They don't really think they're going to meet their loved one in 5 years' time. If, on the other hand, you stood on the quayside and watched Queen Mary set off for New York, the people on the quayside are not crying because they know they're going to see those people again fairly soon. A funeral is fundamentally different, yet it should be the same.
I think myths are like a drug. I think a lot of people would rather just take the myth pill that makes them feel like nice and cozy and warm and fuzzy and okay with everything, rather than having to look at the reality of what the world actually is, because it's so big. But then I think what's so great about the world being so big, or the universe being so big, is that it's so big. And that is so cool.
You know, early Christians were called atheists by the Romans because they didn't believe in all the gods. I love that. I mean, that's what atheism is, really. It's the belief in one less God than you.
The whole forward movement of trying to do this thing, give people the opportunity to be educated to a point where they don't have to lean on stuff that's probably not there, is a worthy cause.
You have to be able to offer someone alternatives to the way they view the world, or how can they learn something? I mean, you can't keep teaching someone something they already know. If you are so attached to your belief system that you stop listening out of fear of that being challenged, you know, or shaken, you're dead.
Most scientists are not up for this game of taking on these things and having it become a forum. But once you start to step up in front of doubters, who's, you know, it becomes this idea of, really, can you change people's minds from this debate? Or are you just like taking rocks and bashing each other's brains out?